Art programs are vanishing across America, and most people just shrug it off. They say it's just budget cuts and art's just a fun extra. But what if I told you it's actually a silent crisis? I'm Dwayne Walker, and I've spent the last decade getting art education to 60,000 kids across more than 100 countries. What I've discovered about creativity's impact on children will completely change how you see education. I'm not here to talk about paintbrushes, piano lessons, or stage lights. I want to show you what really happens when creativity disappears from our classrooms and how it affects your child's future in a world that's changing faster than we can keep up with. So let me break down 6 hidden dangers of cutting art education that nobody's talking about, but every parent, teacher, and leader needs to understand before it's too late. We keep telling ourselves that creativity is just for artsy kids, but that's a dangerous myth that's setting up an entire generation for failure. We think art is for the painters, the poets, and the kids who doodle on the margins and who weren't academic, but not for engineers and scientists and future CEOs or leaders. Here's the thing though, in the age of AI and automation, that thinking isn't just outdated, it's actually harmful to your child's future. Just look at what's happening right now. AI is writing better code than professional programmers. Robots work 24/7 with perfect precision. Algorithms can already outthink humans on most technical tasks. So what's left for our kids? Well, machines can do everything else. Creative thinking, the one skill AI cannot replace. The ability to connect unrelated ideas, to build something from nothing, to face a problem with no manual and create an entirely new solution. You see, the world isn't slowing down, it's speeding up. The rules are changing faster than we can write them. And the harsh truth is that kids who only know how to follow directions will be replaced first. The world will need people who know how to adapt when there are no directions at all. That's the muscle creativity builds. It's about thinking differently on purpose, seeing new angles and asking different questions and building new solutions. If we want our kids to be more than replaceable cogs in a machine, if we want them to lead instead of follow, we need to stop treating creativity like it's optional, because creativity is the one skill that AI cannot replace. Our kids are facing a mental health emergency unlike anything we've seen before. Anxiety rates have shot up by 52% over the last decade. Teen depression has doubled since 2010. 1 in 5 kids have actually considered suicide. Yet, almost no one connects this crisis to cutting art programs. The research is clear but ignored. Creating art reduces the stress hormone cortisol by up to 75%. Students in art programs see 38% increase in psychological well-being. Music education significantly reduces anxiety in children. Art isn't a luxury, it's emotional medicine, and kids need it now more than ever. It gives kids the one space where they can express feelings without being judged or graded. Whether it's painting a feeling, writing a song, or acting out a scene, creative outlets let kids process emotions instead of bottling them inside. It's where the quiet kid finds their voice, where the invisible kid becomes seen, and where the perfect kid learns that it's okay to make mistakes. Without that emotional escape, pressure builds, pain deepens, and many kids break. If we really cared about our kids' mental health crisis, we wouldn't just protect art, we would prescribe it like the medicine that it is. When budgets get tight, art is always the first on the chopping block. But come on, let's be brutally honest about who suffers most. The kids who lose most are those who already have the least. Let's be honest about what's happening. Private schools aren't cutting art, they're expanding it. Wealthy parents are hiring tutors, buying instruments, and funding theaters. Creative education is alive and well for kids whose parents can afford it. And as beautiful as that is for those kids, that means that children from lower income neighborhoods lose the one class that might have been their strength, their joy, or their way forward. Most people don't understand that art isn't just about self-expression. It's an advantage. Art is the only class that teaches kids how to think, not just what to think. Math teaches rules, science teaches facts, history teaches events. But art is the only class where the answer isn't in the back of the book. Art starts with nothing and asks kids to make something new, something that's never existed before. This skill is how all great ideas come to life. It's how leaders are built. Without art programs, talent goes undiscovered, confidence never develops, and potential gets wasted. When you cut art from schools, you don't just shrink what kids learn. You widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Because rich families will always find a way. But families without resources, well, the kids get left behind again. Schools have become test-taking factories, and the formula is simple. Test scores bring funding. Funding keeps schools open, so schools teach what's tested. What gets tested gets taught. And what can't fit into a standardized test or measured in bubbles and points? Art. Art is messy, it's personal, it's different for every child. You can't rank it with numbers. So when schools need better test scores, art gets pushed aside. Not because it doesn't matter, but because its value doesn't show up in the metrics. The sad part is the more that we push for perfect test scores, the more we lose what actually matters. Original thinking, emotional intelligence, resilience, and self-expression. Think about it. Can any of those be measured with the Scantron? No. Yet art class builds all of it. Every single one of those skills can be practiced and nurtured in a room filled with paint, instruments, and movement. What if we measured your kids not just by test scores, but by what they can create? Not just how your kids perform under pressure, but how they work through and process failure. Not just how fast they can answer, but how deeply they can think. The best thinkers of the next generation won't be the ones who memorize the most answers. ChatGPT will always have better memory than any of us. The best thinkers will be the ones who learn to ask better questions, to make connections, to see what others miss. And that kind of thinking can only come from a well-exercised imagination. Schools sacrifice art for test scores, and now children are losing countless, unmeasurable skills they need the most. Some things never show up on a kid's report card. The pride in a student's eyes when they finish their first painting, the friendship formed during a theater production, the calm that washes over a troubled kid while playing music, the confidence that comes from hearing applause after a performance. None of that fits in a grade book, but it shapes how a child faces life. Take art away, and things change. Not dramatically, not all at once, just a slow fading. A kid stops raising their hand, stops coming early to school, and stops taking risk. Because the one place where they felt alive and seen is gone. Studies show that cutting art programs leads to higher dropout rates and lower test scores. For many kids, art is the reason they come to school at all. It's what makes the hard parts worth it. Take that away, and school becomes just another place where they feel like they don't belong. Right now, we live in a world where our kids' attention spans are decreasing, where they're more disconnected from real human connection than ever before in history, and they struggle with criticism. Studies have shown that art education teaches what no textbook can. It helps kids improve focus, foster social emotional skills, and teaches kids how to handle constructive criticism with confidence. Art helps raise well-rounded kids. It teaches them how to care about their work, about themselves and their voice. When kids create something that matters to them, they start to matter to themselves. That's how you build a child who shows up, who contributes, who believes they have something to offer. Art builds self-worth, and that's something every kid deserves. Do you want to know the real reason art gets cut first? It's because since the benefits of art education take years to measure clearly, art programs don't have powerful lobbyists fighting for it to remain in schools. And the crazy part is that children want it, but they can't vote. So when art disappears, kids don't protest, they just get quieter. While math and science get special funding, art gets whatever is left, if anything. Just how benefits take years to measure, you don't see the damage until years later, too. And by that time, it's far too late. We see it in the student who never discovers their gift, in the adult who never learned how to process emotions, and in the workplace that lacks innovators. That's what happens when we fail to protect the creative spark. So, what can we do? Well, if you're a parent, teacher, creative, or just someone who cares, the first step is simple. We have to share the benefits of art, of painting and music, theater, filmmaking, fashion, dance, any and every form of creativity that teaches kids how to feel, think, and build. And you can do that by posting about its benefits to your family and friends. You can also go a step further and talk to your school board. If you want to put your money toward the cause, donate art supplies to schools in need. And the simplest thing you can do is hit subscribe and support channels like mine that are fighting to keep creativity alive. Every like, comment, and share spreads this video to more people who need to hear this message. And it only takes one key decision maker to see this for massive change to happen. If we stay silent, nothing changes. But together, we can protect the one class that might just save our children's future.